advisor. So all the way from tracking market movements, macroeconomic data, to researching securities, selecting investments by screening and scoring, creating portfolios, ongoing maintenance, portfolio optimization, all the way through generating reports, proposals, going through a sales process with a client or with a prospect. So when I say end-to-end platform, I truly mean it, and that you're able to, if you wanted, leverage YCharts as your main research and presentation engine. So we kind of break this down on your screen into these 5 kind of general use cases with presenting insights, generating new ideas, building and optimizing portfolios, security research, and then educating folks. So we're going to touch on a couple different tools. I want to try to touch on a couple tools that hit on each of those use cases as we go here. And I'm going to go pretty fast because obviously there's a lot to cover. So again, what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is stop me, ask questions. If you feel like you want to take a trial of the platform following up from today, definitely something we'll talk about. We make sure we have my contact info out there if you guys want to circle back on YCharts. Any questions though around like some of these general use cases before I start dancing around inside the product and showing us what it's all about?
I don't see any right now.
Cool. All right. So jumping into YCharts for the first time, we are greeted by our dashboard, which effectively acts as your homepage within YCharts. So that very first use case I kind of rattled off with being able to track market movements, this is going to be your best friend in that we can manicure a dashboard to help you keep whatever's relevant for you top of mind at your fingertips on a day-to-day, even hour-to-hour basis. So within YCharts, just from a data perspective, we carry data on individual stocks, any mutual fund, any ETF traded within the US. So what we don't have data for: options, alternatives, preferreds, fixed income. But your general mutual funds, stocks, ETFs, we can have data here all day long, as well as over 500,000 different macroeconomic indicators. So think things like inflation rates, GDP growth, housing data, consumer sentiment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're looking at on my screen right now is actually a pre-built dashboard that we make available for you day one, so you don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel. And this one in particular, we're going to see some examples of lists, charts, to again help us monitor macro level market movement. So we're going to get a full detailed breakdown of equities here, looking at performance by style box. Keep my little pen out here. So we have performance by style box, we have performance by sector on this page as well. We got a couple charts along the right hand side looking at just some major equity indices, and we can get intraday data here for stocks as well as ETFs. So I can use this to be able to track intraday market movements using these ETFs as proxies for these major indices. So really interactive. I can be changing around the charts within the dashboard as much as I need. All these columns within these lists I can sort by. So if I just want to see which sector has performed best over the last 5 years, I sort my list and I can see, not a surprise, that's going to be technology. This one in particular is going to include some data around fixed income. So kind of similarly looking at bonds across corporates, governments, munis, seeing examples of like treasury rate data, strength of the dollar there along the right hand side, a VIX chart that's buried back here. So just again, to give you guys a sense of what's available, this is just a single dashboard. And within my account, I have 4 of these that are running at the same time that I can jump back and forth between, and that I've kind of organized to be a bit more topical. So this one is just a amalgamation of charts. The Fed continues to monitor as rates are finally starting to step down a little bit. This is a really cool page that can help you monitor some of those same key metrics that the Fed themselves are monitoring as well. So things like different breakdowns of CPI, Fed funds rate, even some housing stuff that's closed up in here as well. So alongside tracking macro market level data, I I can also use my dashboard to help navigate and track my specific watch lists, portfolios, anything that I've created inside of YCharts. So the one that we're seeing here now is going to be, based off the models I built with my account. I have an equity, income, and growth model. Again, I'm going to have different charts, lists that can help you track the performance of these portfolios. I have a couple other lists down here below that I can use to, track the individual holdings within each of those sleeves and portfolios as well. And then you might notice I can also set alerts to let me know anytime a stock, a fund, or portfolio hits a certain threshold, whether that's like a performance metric, or for an individual stock could be like a revenue metric or an earnings metric, whatever else we can track within YCharts, we can set alerts on. See an example of a scatter plot there along the right-hand side for some risk-reward analysis. I got a cool little heat map down here, looking at the performance of my holdings within one of my models. So really cool stuff that you can leverage inside of your dashboard as well. And it's really kind of a centralized hub in terms of how you'll eventually be able to navigate through all of YCharts and having what you need directly on your homepage here. Not seeing any initial questions, which means I'm doing a good job. But if you guys do have something you want to explore a little bit more, please throw them in the chat. I'll circle back on them as soon as I can. So market tracking done pretty much through the dashboard, security research, and all the things we can do to evaluate a stock, a fund, or even one of our portfolios inside of YCharts. One of my favorite shortcuts, because with such a comprehensive tool, you have an inherent amount of complexity, right? So we do try to make this as easy to use as we can. One of those examples is our little quick flows menu along the right-hand side. So exactly what it sounds like, these are kind of quick shortcuts that I can use to easily evaluate an individual security portfolio or even start comparing side by side. So within quick flows, let's say I entered a stock ticker like Apple, it's going to refresh and give me a bunch of different options I can now use below. And let's say I wanted to look at an earnings chart here. All I do is click on it. YCharts builds me this really cool visual. So what we're looking at here with this dark greenish bluish line is our price movement. We're using some annotations to call out those actual earnings report dates so we can quickly trace how price reacts to those earnings reports. The blue line is our actual earnings results. And then we have this orangey kind of reddish line that's showing forward-looking estimates for earnings, so we can see the chart actually goes through 2025 in that example. So we obviously can use this to track, historically, how has some of these Mag 7 stocks reacted to these earnings reports. What can we expect as we start navigating earnings season here through the rest of the year? And again, can be done with one click. I don't have to go through and recreate the wheel inside of YCharts. Once I'm done here, I could pop back open quick flows, and now I could jump into something around, let's say dividends, for instance, and similar story where I can look at some key metrics like, again, earnings, but dividends paid out, payout ratios.
Hey, Zach, where does it pull the future earnings estimates?
Yes, so the vast majority of our data is being sourced from Morningstar. So the vast majority of our security data is coming directly from Morningstar with a few exceptions. We are continuing actually adding on other data sources even as we speak. For instance, S&P Global provides a lot of our analyst recommendation coverage. Lipper is being brought on as a fund data source. So we are continuing to expand that database, but the vast majority of our security data is going to come directly from Morningstar. So more of a data aggregator than a data producer, right? I think how I think about YCharts is, we're trying to pull the best of all these other places and trying to aggregate it all together in one place for you guys. Someone asked about data refresh rates. So individual stocks and ETFs, we get intraday pricing. So I went back to my dashboard here as an example. And if I go down to like some of my equity holdings here, and let me just expand this list so we can see the date. We are getting intraday data here for each of these companies within this portfolio sleeve. And so I'm seeing whatever that intraday pricing has been for Exxon, UPS, etc. So stocks and ETFs are getting intraday data. Mutual funds, kind of similar to other sources out there, we're looking at previous day's close. And then for the macroeconomic stuff, that's very dependent on when the report is being released. But generally speaking, if an inflation number comes out, we usually have it updated within the website by the end of that day.
All right, TK, that should answer your how often are the metrics updated, but if you need anything further, throw it in there. We'll.
Awesome. Just to kind of wrap up on the security research front, showing off some different ways that I can use to compare, in this case, a couple ETFs. Again, similarly, I have a bunch of different shortcuts I can look at. For funds, I really like looking at flows data, for instance. In this table, I'm able to look at these trailing flow data numbers to see, where money is moving, kind of a cool way to gauge sentiment amongst a couple different funds. So like with our CDC ETF here, we're seeing quite a lot of outflows the past 36 months or so, which might be a good indication about how other folks are feeling about this fund as well. One thing I really like to do as well, while I'm on the topic of quick flows, is show off some of our tax data, which again is going to be top of mind the next 6 months, right? So we are able to calculate some of these tax adjusted returns for our funds as well, which is even going to relate back to some of our conversation around turnover ratio, and how that can affect gains inside of non-qualified dollars. So being able to quickly evaluate funds and how will they perform from a tax perspective might be another reason to choose one fund versus another, right? So we can see in this particular example, let's see what we got. So it starts to get a little bit more egregious on the 1 year number. So CDC has a tax cost ratio of 1.65 versus QDIV at 1.3. And so we can see the effect on our tax adjusted return there. And it seems to just be a better performer overall, which isn't a bad thing. So quick flows. It's something I'm always coaching my newest users on. Again, I think it's really easy to grasp, really easy to help you get your arms around what YCharts could even do in the first place. And again, I can be using this for stocks, funds, or even portfolios that I've built into YCharts as well. Right? I have different ways to evaluate holdings. I have different ways to look at different economic scenarios as well, which is kind of cool. I can see how this portfolio reacted, say, during the initial drawdown of COVID-19. So my portfolio in green, I'm comparing against some of these other major indices. And I have that drawdown style chart where we're showing the peaks and valleys, so to speak, over that time period.
So Zach, you can make customized reports and add your logo. You can do all sorts of different, different variations specific to what you're looking for, correct?
100%, yeah. So everything I've talked about so far is able to be fully customized. I'm using these shortcuts just to be able to move quickly. But for instance, within this chart that's already been built for me, I could, let's say I just wanted to compare against the S&P. I can remove a couple of those index comparisons. It's going to rebuild the chart for me. It's kind of tough to see, but I do have a logo that's kind of sneaking in there at the bottom left-hand corner. This is a custom color scheme that I've uploaded into my account as well. So if I reverted back to our original colors, they're going to be purple and orange and this brighter green. But for you yourself, within your firm, you can upload your own logos, color schemes for any output you generate from YCharts to include that branding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very cool.
definitely. Yeah, huge deal. And we're going to talk more about reporting here in just a minute, Dina, and show off maybe a couple examples on those like custom proposals as well.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
So great transition into the portfolios piece. So, I talked a lot about portfolio creation, ongoing due diligence, portfolio optimization. This is all going to be piloted or kind of navigated through our portfolios tool, where I can build the models that I'm managing myself, hypothetical models. I can replicate client accounts in here. I can also pull in prospect accounts for analysis and eventually reporting. Once a portfolio has been built into YCharts, let's say this example client account here, and you're able, just like every other security fund inside of YCharts, it gets its own dedicated page. So we're going to be able to view performance, allocation, risk data, all related to this portfolio and its underlying holdings. So the quote tab gives us just a little bit of everything, but then I can use and even underlying news based off the funds or stocks within my portfolio. But as I mentioned, we get some really detailed data here that eventually we'll be able to generate on reports as well. Like asset allocation, seeing a full breakdown of geographic exposures where I could go country by country if I wanted to go all the way down to what is my exposure in Denmark, if for whatever reason I need to know that. We can get a breakdown of equities across market cap, style, and sector. Same thing for fixed income across credit quality and maturity. A couple other cool things I like to highlight here, especially for our fund-based investors, being able to evaluate underlying holdings within a portfolio. So this is a portfolio made up entirely of ETFs, but YCharts can calculate for me what's my total exposure to Apple across all the funds that I hold inside of my portfolio or my client account. What's my exposure to Amazon? Where am I seeing overlap? Is that something I'm intending? Is that something that maybe the client wasn't aware of coming in? Another potential talking point there during that sales process.
Zach, there were a couple of questions. John wanted to know, this program that you are demonstrating is not YChart standard, is it? What is the difference?
Yes. So nowadays we have the YCharts Pro tier, which is what I'm demonstrating here. YCharts Professional is what you need to be able to access the True Choice spreadsheet that we talked about earlier, and it's what you need to be able to access the research, reporting, portfolio content inside of YCharts. And that's that same price point I alluded to earlier on the $4,800. We do have lower tier licenses. We've moved away from that standard license. Instead, now we term it as a presenter or analyst license. And those effectively entitle you to a half of a YCharts. So presenter is really only geared towards uploading client accounts and generating reports, but you can't really build anything. You can't build any charts, you can't build any dashboards. You're really limited in your access. The analyst tier is the other end of that spectrum where it's all the research stuff. You can screen, you can score, you can use quick flows, we can build some charts, but then we can't use portfolios at all, or reporting at all. So we do have these lower tier memberships, but you lose out on the True Choice spreadsheet, and you lose out on about 50 to 60% of YChart's capability, depending on which tier you choose.
Good. And then John said thanks. Okay, Ken asked, is it possible to import a client's portfolio from he said statements, PDF, Excel?
Most definitely. So when I would have originally built this portfolio here, Ken, jumping in, I'm able to assign custom benchmarks, fees, rebalancing, all that kind of fun stuff. As far as actually getting the holdings into here, I can manually type them in myself, or there is a little upload data function, and that allows me to drop off an Excel template. Or with our literally brand new, like 2 weeks ago, quick extract feature, we can drop off PDFs into YChart as well. There's an AI bot that goes through and scans the statement and then uploads portfolio holdings, cost basis, all that kind of fun stuff. It's brand new, brand new. I'll mention this as well. We're on the topic of subscriptions. This is one of our only add-on options. So that does not come out the gate with YChart Professional. It does have to be added on to your subscription after the fact. So there's an additional cost of $600 per year to be able to have quick extract on your subscription as well. Yeah, the PDF feature is huge. I have some teams out there that, big giant RIAs that run 100 proposals a month, right? So trying to extract that data manually out of a PDF just, for lack of a better term, sucks. So yeah, the PDF scanner has been a big deal.
Right, and even though we know that it can be pulled in other formats, doing that is, or getting that type of data in that way is a lot more difficult from the client.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that's a nice feature. That's pretty powerful.
And even for us, when we're a smaller shop and maybe we're only doing 5 proposals a month, my thought process is, your guys' time is really valuable. If you're wearing lots of hats, you're the research department, you're the sales department, you're the prospecting department. Your time is valuable too. So spending 30 minutes uploading a prospect statement in a vacuum isn't a big deal. But yeah, I agree with you that you're balancing a lot of plates in that scenario.
Not counting the accuracy issue, right?
Right.
So.
Right. No, absolutely.
So Jeff wanted to go back here to clarify the total fees and charges on a mutual fund. My understanding as a non-securities licensed agent is that a fund's sub-accounts each have a charge, maybe 10 basis points. So with 25 sub-accounts in a fund, that would mean maybe 2.5% fee charge, plus any money manager fees and any other backroom administrative fees to get the actual total. Is this correct? Does YChart show this calculation or totals?
So rather than you're trying to stumble around an answer here on this particular call, what I can do, Jeff, is one, check in with my data team to see if there's any more clarity they can provide for me. And I can work with Dina to get your email, and I can send you a follow-up on that front, and I can even include the definition to our expense ratio metric, which might help clear that up quite a bit for you.
Yeah, and I copied that whole question, and I will set up a message to you. So.
Yeah, if you just send me an email, maybe with Jeff,
sure.
Dina, I can get back to you guys there.
Yep, perfect. Let's see, Tim. Yep, I got it, Jeff. I will make sure to get it. Tim asked, is info from YCharts what Dan and Jim use when they talk about a portfolio's risk score? And the answer to that is no. They use nitrogen for the risk portion. So they basically use 3 softwares. They use Fiduciary Genius to generate their full report printout that prints out the full color report that you would give to a client that has everything in it. It has the, the legacy report, the fee report, the income report, it has every single thing in it. It's like 80 pages. And then they use Riskalyze to stress test a current portfolio to get risk if there were another financial crisis. And then they use YCharts for their fund analysis report, which you saw at the very beginning, which also a lot of that data feeds into their fee analysis.
And while Dan and Jim don't use YCharts for risk scoring today, they very well may in the future, because that is something we're actually beta testing right now, is a risk profiling tool inside of YCharts that will allow you to assign these client accounts, model portfolios within a specific risk tolerance band, be able to help track the portfolio relative to that risk band, and then even do a little bit of scoring as well, similar to how a nitrogen platform would. So something we're actively beta testing right now. I don't have a great example to show you guys, but you can see it even here within my profiles that it is something that we're actively working on right now. And that is one of my favorite things about YCharts is just how often we release new stuff. We do truly try to listen to your guys' feedback, whether that's just purely from a data perspective, other tools we can add, trying to help you guys consolidate other software out there as well, to be your true one-stop shop, ultimately. One cool feature I do want to show up related to these client accounts is, again, another new piece, our transition analysis, which what this allows me to do with a client account where I upload the cost basis for the individual positions. This allows me to track the total gain or loss across each position. And as a result, it's also going to help me track the potential tax impact as if I would have sold out of that position. So, I know a lot of advisors that I've talked to, would have to go through this process. It'd be really manual, something they'd have to do within Excel themselves, or maybe, that they would, lean on like a back office for. Now with YCharts, we can quickly evaluate a client account and that potential tax impact. I can even manipulate that tax rate. So if I'm working with a higher net worth client, I can update that. It's just going to refresh and give me that new calculated tax impact. If I was wanting to trade this portfolio, this client account into, let's say, my aggressive model that I might be recommending for them, YCharts can tell me exactly the buys and sells that I need to make to bring myself in line with that new allocation. It's then going to calculate that total tax impact for me along that right-hand side, and then just give me a quick little sum here at the bottom. And then you yourself as the advisor now has the control to go in and make any edits to this. So we say to ourselves, like, okay, we're buying quite a bit of this OEF S&P 100 ETF, but I already own a bunch of SPY, right? I already own a pretty big allocation to SPY. Currently we're at 20%. It's where I'm generating quite a bit of tax impact. Maybe I'm okay holding on to a little bit of SPY and reducing my OEF allocation. I click update, that refreshes and recalculates the tax impact for me. So you as the advisor have the control over exactly how you're wanting to demonstrate that with the prospect or client, because you can use this as like a live interactive tool as you're working with them inside of a meeting, or I can just pull this off into a PDF if I prefer to have like a standalone report. Another really cool value add, and then we start to partner this up with something like Quick Extract. You have your prospect who just walked in the door with a statement, 10 minutes, you can have this generated for them, we can have a proposal generated for them, and you're hopefully winning the new business.
I had a question. Do you guys have any boot camps or trainings or different things that you do on a regular basis for people with subscriptions?
Tons. So as I mentioned earlier on, you do get a dedicated account manager, aka me. And then on this, these are just YouTube videos that we run these are webinars that we post as YouTube videos every week. So it's a rotating series of topics with our YCharts University. So you have acquiring clients, analyzing securities, creating and presenting insights. And really the goal here is to help our newest users and just master the basics. And again, trying to take you through different workflows. So these are hosted by me, these are hosted by Emma, these are hosted by Matt, some of the other colleagues that are in my same role. So point being, yeah, we do a ton of training for you guys. You get the one-on-one time with me. You have these YCharts University sessions. We have a live team you have access to as well. So this little blue bubble is not an AI. This is not like some offshore third party in Bangladesh or somewhere. These are YCharts employees. 95% are in Chicago with me. So they're available. I know most of us are Eastern, so 9:30 to 5:30 Eastern time on market days.
Wait, I thought you were in Arizona.
That was Mark, I think, who answered that question. I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Mark said Arizona. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he snuck in there, but I'm in Chicago. Okay. I'm in Chicago. So I'm also experiencing those crazy swings of weather right now too. It's like 80 degrees today. So
I know that's so bizarre, and then it's
Yeah,
going to
so
be
weird.
freezing. Yes.
But yes, point being, we try to provide as many resources as we can. You know, I alluded to this earlier already. We understand it's a complex tool. You know, when you can do a lot, you inherently breed this. You know, heck, just look at the tools menu. Look at all the different things that you can do if you want to. So that's where with the training, you know, typically we're trying to, you know, help you guys take bite-sized chunks and master one thing at a time.
Do you have any like input from people who are using it right now, like number one thing they love or what you usually start with, you know, anything like that?
So we do have some cool case studies that are posted here on the website, and that you can even still find through like our publicly accessible blog. So if you just Google YChart's blog, it's gonna pull up for you. But we do have some cool case studies from a lot of teams that do use YCharts and that we reach out to because, you know, they're really powerful users, and so they're able to give you some real life use cases here. So if we look at like where's like a good RIA? So like Vantage Point Management, they're going to go through. It's like an interview. They talk about, you know, exactly what they use YCharts for, how they implement it within their practice, why do they like it compared to some of the other competitors out there. So you don't have to take my word. We have some case studies that are built out here. We even just did like this really cool. We were at LPL's Future Proof conference, and we did like we hired a third party to like interview people off to the side about like their experience with YCharts, and they had some pretty cool things to say as well. And all that's publicly available if you just Google YCharts. I think it's one of the top hits right now. So yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
The one thing I want to make sure I do squeeze in here, just to kind of wrap up that whole portfolio workflow, is the reports that we can generate. So this is just an example that I've mocked up inside my own account. And, you know, I built this out using some elements of our proposal tool, our report builder, where you can actually mock up and build these custom templates. So we got this nice, cool looking cover page here. This is not YCharts generated. This cover page in particular, I built this in like Canva, but you can add other pages to a YCharts report. So I uploaded this from an outside source. It's now a part of that YCharts report. And then I'm going to jump into this proposal page where I'm highlighting stock and bond allocation, giving some quick definitions on why is this important to the particular person that I'm working with. And then we're going to show some of that underlying data below. So this report I really kind of built to, because a lot of firms aren't showing like hypothetical performance nowadays. So this one purely reviews asset allocation, some fundamental metrics like market cap and PE ratios. Again, explaining why are these important to you as an investor. Displaying some of the underlying data, a lot of the stuff we already saw through the website, like sector, style exposures. Same thing on the fixed income side, talking about some of these key metrics, highlighting the underlying data. And then this report's just going to wrap up with a snapshot of the top 10 holdings. So this is just one example. I think we calculated the other day, there's like over 500,000 different possible reports that you could build out of our report builder tool, where you can completely customize the modules, how they're displayed, the different types of data that you're showing. You can get really, really fine-tuned with the reporting piece if you'd like to.
Nice. Mark said, how do you get the subscription?
Yes. So what we're going to do, and Dina, I don't know what the best way is to communicate this with the team. Get my contact info out there for you guys. All you got to do is send me an email. You know, I'll throw it in the chat right now, even for you guys, but it's simply zmiddleton@ycharts.com. Hey Zach, I was on the True Choice call the other day. You did such a great job. We're so excited to get started with YCharts. Or hey, maybe I want to take a trial and I wanted to explore the system a little bit more. Let me know. You know, either if you're ready to roll, I'll help you out. If you want a little bit more of a detailed trial, I'll hook you up with someone from the sales team that I partner with that can, you know, help walk through that, you know, even over a couple weeks. If you wanted to take that trial period, and then you know, you can ultimately make a decision. Once you're fully signed up, that's where you have full access to me, the live support team, and all these other resources I've talked about already to help you get started with the platform.
Perfect. Any other questions, anyone? Oh, no, I don't see any right now. Okay, perfect.
You can forward them along to that email address too. If there is anything that you guys are curious about or just want to try to learn more about, I can send you back some helpful articles or links that can give you a bit more of a preview on how to even take a trial. So.
Okay, perfect. I will send an email to everyone in the PEAK program because I was going to also resend out instructions to Fiduciary Genius, some of the other things that Dan and Jim are using. So I will put all of those things together into one email. Ken said, thank you, very powerful.
I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased, but I was an advisor in my former life. I worked within a larger firm, kind of as a junior partner for 5 years. So I was a Morningstar user for a long time. I've dabbled in programs like FactSet. I tried to learn Bloomberg and fell on my face, which is, I think, a lot of people's experience. So point being, yes, super powerful. Where it fits in from a cost perspective, again, you win one $500,000 case with YCharts, it's paid for itself into perpetuity, right? So think about it that way. I'm more than confident YCharts can help you win that one case.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your time today, Zach. If anyone has any other questions or anything you need, feel free to reach out to me, or if you're ready to get started and you want to send Zach an email, like I said, make sure you mention that you were on the PEAK call so he knows to give you your discount. Hope that was helpful to anyone. If you are thinking about doing this and you want to do the spreadsheet that Dan and Jim do, like I said, I do some manipulation with the data once it gets brought over, and I can do that for you. I can also train you or staff in your office on how to do that. So if that is something, like I said, that you are looking at doing, there's a lot of different ways that we can make it easy and accessible for you to do that. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And like I said, I will be sending out an email shortly, and I will reference all of the costs and, contact for YCharts to make sure if you need it, you've got it. Alrighty? Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Zach. Appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Dina. Thanks, everyone.
Get a park out for 2 days.